Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 3. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and streaming live today from beautiful, sunny Los Angeles. And if you are joining us on Behance, first of all, welcome. And tell me where you're coming from. Tell me what your name is, where you're live. I was going to say streaming from. You might not be streaming. You're probably not streaming. Where you're tuning in from. It's always fun seeing where everyone is around the world. And a big good morning to Ali and Chris and Ash and Anne and Raphael. And I see a bunch of people who I recognize from our Slack channel, which is great. I love our Slack community. It's super active. A lot of awesome people in there chatting, giving design feedback. And if you're brand new to this, welcome. Welcome to the challenge. You can always go back and do day number 1. You can start day number 3 if you want to. And we have a fun challenge for you today. We're slowly kind of getting into the advanced territory. I'm going to be going over some masking techniques today, which is going to be fun. And we have Dennis from Sweden and Donna from Barcelona, Darren from Texas, all over the place, Canada and New York and Brazil. Woo! All these awesome people from all over the world, places I haven't been to yet. One day I'm going to make it out to all these amazing people, places. Montreal and Toronto, my hometown. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. So, what's this all about? Let me hop over to my screen and I will show you all the good stuff. So, this is the landing page for the Daily Creative Challenge, behance.net/Daily Creative Challenge. Very easy to remember. Right at the top, you hit that blue button to register. That way you get notifications every single morning. And DJ Paco is in the house. Welcome. Hit that blue button. You get notifications every single morning that a new challenge is out. So hopefully this morning you did get it. If you didn't, make sure to hit that button. You can also find the announcements in Slack, which I'll show you in just a second. Each day you'll receive a challenge, as you can see down here. And 8:30 a.m. every single day. I will be here this week from Los Angeles, next week from San Francisco. I'm all over the place. And then number 3, you're going to prototype. You're going to design and prototype whatever the theme is using Adobe XD. Don't worry about the Photoshop line. That was for the last challenge. And you're going to share it on Behance using the hashtag XD Daily Challenge. And you have until February 1st to complete all 9 challenges. But because this isn't really a competition, it's really to build your portfolio and introduce you to new techniques, you can really do these whenever you want. You can upload them all at once. You can upload them every single day, or you can do it next year. I don't know, whatever works. And then next steps, grab XD completely for free, which is great. And you can join our Slack community, which if I hop over, actually before I do that, let's check out the challenge. Let me go ahead and refresh. What happened to my eyeglasses? I don't know, they're around somewhere. Didn't feel like putting them on today. So here's challenge number 3, experience for smart home app. And, design and prototype a user experience for dimming a smart bulb on a smart home mobile app. And I kind of hinted at this yesterday in Slack. Let me hop over to Slack. Here's Slack. And we have all these different awesome channels. We have, how many people do we have? 12,339. Every single day we get more. It's great. So yesterday, I kind of hinted at today's challenge. You never know what'll sneak in there. We have an announcements section, ask a question, and Lemon just asked, sorry if I mispronounced that, 16th Cross, when will we get the new update for XD? So the January update is still coming. There's still 6 days left in January, so, it's coming. And, introductions, introduce yourself in Slack, tell people what you do for a living, where you're from, all that fun stuff. So, XD is available for Windows. It totally is. And for other than 1 or 2 little features, it's cross-compatible. Plugins are available on both platforms, and yeah, it's also you can download it for free as well. So the importance of using the hashtag XD Daily Challenge when you're publishing to Behance is so we can find it. And look at all these entries. These are all from this. I can just keep going. These are all from this week's entry. 2 days. It's crazy. A lot of stuff. And I want to go very quickly through some of this stuff so that, you can kind of get some inspiration and see how people have explored and tried to do something different. So this one is from our good friend Igor, who's always very active on Twitter and Slack. He might be in the chat as well. So he did this little drag to rearrange, little border in the background so you can see where you're dragging. And then he has different theme colors, which I thought was really cool. It's a nice little touch. Kind of sticking with the theme, but also breaking the bounds a little bit. Great job, Igor. Next we have, this one is from Daniel, who I think, if I remember correctly, yeah, they're really cool animation as he's dragging. Let's do that again. Oh, here we go. So those ones kind of like fly away and then go that way. Really nice stuff. Nice presentation too. I love those gradients. I'm a sucker for nice gradients. And this one I thought was really interesting from Giselle. Definitely took it in a very different direction and created this little puzzle game. And I thought was kind of fun. And you can definitely go to Behance, search the Daily Creative Challenge, and find all these yourself. Next one was from Giorgio. Really nice. There's a very subtle, I'm going to be covering this as well in this video. There's a very subtle blur in the background using a background blur. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Whoops. And here is Giorgio's entry. So he fades them all out as he's dragging around, and he also incorporates auto animate to enlarge some of the photos, which I thought was a nice little touch. Great job. And this one was really interesting. So this is from Matteo, and he created this little puzzle from some historical artwork. And then once the puzzle is complete, it enlarges and it gives some more information on it. I thought that was a really nice little touch. And this one doesn't really, it kind of fits in the theme, but it doesn't fit in the theme. But I just thought it was really nicely put together. And there's some really interesting interactions in here with the different rocks and the cards and crazy stuff. Really nice. All created in Adobe XD, which I thought was really cool. And this one was from Heather. I really like the layout of this webpage that she put together. The interactions were very similar to what we showed off yesterday, but I really liked the layout and how things kind of came together and fit with the overall theme. Really nice stuff. And then this one here, this one completely blew me away. And this is really what I loved about these daily challenges, is they take the theme, which is fairly basic, and they just go crazy with it. This is from Daniel, and just watch this. This is crazy. I have no words for this. Crazy. So yeah, keep doing things like this. This is amazing. A lot of really cool entries, and as the weeks go on, I expect to see a lot more that's just going to blow me away. So, and hey, Heather, welcome. You are in the chat. So let me hop over to Adobe XD, and here is the challenge for today. Design and prototype a light dimmer for a smart home mobile app. Tap open and yada yada yada. So you don't have to follow it exactly, but as long as it kind of fits the theme. And the amazing Marissa Blair put together this great template with all these little elements you can put on your artboard. Buttons down here. There's a bunch of different icons. Some dimmer switches if you want to just really get started. If you're brand new to Adobe XD and you don't want to design things yourself, or you don't feel comfortable yet, you can just, all these people, wow, awesome, didn't know XD can do that. XD can do a lot. If you really push those bounds, there's a lot you can do. So let's get designing. Here's some inspiration. I'm sure many of you have used some smart home applications, whether it's the one on Apple, iOS, or the Hue app. I was actually trying to pull that up on my phone, but my bridge wouldn't update, so I couldn't do it. But anyway, let's go. Let's get designing. We're going to keep this one simple, but also kind of elegant and fun. We're going to experiment with some masking in this one to kind of push the bounds of what you can do in Adobe XD. So to start, I always love a fun background. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool from the left and simply draw out a rectangle across this artboard to use as a mask. And you don't necessarily have to use a mask when you're adding images to Adobe XD, but let me show you what would happen if I did not use it. So I'm going to go into Finder. I've got this great image from Adobe Stock of Iceland, and if I drag this not into a mask, it's a massive image, and it just like explodes across my entire document. So the cool thing about masks is I can just drag it into Adobe XD, and it highlights in blue, and I pop it in there, and it automatically fits it in that shape. Then I can easily double click on it, and let me make it nice and large so it's mostly just the green. There we go. Bam. So I have this cool little background that we're going to be working with and it kind of lines up with you know, the one on iOS, which has a nice little background in it. So we're going to kind of combine what we have in iOS and what we have in the Philips Hue app for this challenge. And I definitely recommend that you go in different directions. You know, look at different apps that are available, combine things, and, you know, have some fun with this. So next, we're actually going to start by designing the end state, and then we're going to work our way backwards. Crazy, right? But it all makes sense. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool right over here and simply draw out a box across my artboard, just like this. And I can move it in place. I can very easily snap it to the center, either by moving towards the center and it's going to snap with the smart guides, or if it's all the way over here and I want to very easily do that, this little guy at the top, the align center button, boop, aligns it to the center. Great. So with that done, I'm going to round the corners a little bit, and you could do that using this value box over here, but there's actually a cooler way. So right here inside of the shape, you can grab this little handle and just drag it in. And that will round out the corners, just a little bit, not too much. And then let's say for now, we will you know, keep that at white, and the border, we'll turn off the border for now. We may add a border later, we'll see. So once that's done, we're gonna start adding some elements. Let's add some text. Let me actually, for now, make this dark so I can see my white text on the background. And this will be bedroom. And for a font, we'll go Avenir next. I'm a big fan of that font. It's very simple, but it works. And then one of the cool things I love about point text in Adobe XD is there's this handle at the bottom. There's handles for everything in XD. You can just drag this up or down to make this bigger or smaller. And let's go for maybe medium, maybe demi-bold. Yeah, that looks good. Put that right there. And then right underneath, I'm going to duplicate this. And this will be the on state. Again, we're working backwards, so this is what it's going to look like when everything is on. And I'm going to decrease the opacity just a touch on this, and maybe instead of demi-bold, we will do regular. Yeah. What's the corner feature is available? Need to update. I'm not sure what you're asking. Maybe medium. Medium looks good. There we go. So I'll put that right there, and now we have our room and the state of the lights. Great. Next, we're going to do another rounded rectangle on this side. This is going to be for the switch. And again, I'm going to round these corners very easily. I don't think I need a border for this one. And I put that right about there. Perfect. I'll change the color just for now. I will be altering this shortly. And then over top of it, I'm going to just put a circle. And I'm holding down my shift key to constrain that to a perfect circle. Beautiful, that looks good. And if you want to very easily zoom in and out, if you hold down your command or control key and use your mouse wheel, it zooms in and out. So that is the on state. And then right below, we want to put basically another rounded rectangle for the actual slider to make the lights lighter or darker, or dimmer or bright. I don't know what phrases are hard. So I'm actually going to copy these two, hold down Alt-Option, and then just drag them down here. And then, whoop, there we go, just enlarge it. Now over here, I want some sort of a light bulb. So actually over here in the example that Marissa provided to us, we have a light bulb. So I'm gonna steal Marissa's light bulb. Copy the group, zoom back over here, and paste it. Beautiful, just pop it right about there. That looks great, make that white, and then make sure this aligns with that. Maybe I'll make this a little bit thinner. Just a little bit down there. Bring this down a little bit. Just finessing this into place. Maybe make this a tiny bit bigger. There we go. All right, things are looking okay, but we want to get a little bit fancy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select the background layer of this group and actually add a background blur. Now things are getting fancy. So we can adjust the brightness of this if we wanted to. So I'm going to make this a little bit bright. And we can adjust how much of the background is blurred. That looks pretty good. And then we can start adjusting some of these things. So I'm going to just drop that down a little bit so it's nice and subtle to around, let's say 15%. Now things are starting to come together. 15%. Beautiful. So that's basically the brightest and that's the darkest. And what we could do is we can actually duplicate this one and add maybe, let's say, a gradient on it. We're gonna get really fancy. So add a linear gradient from the left to the right. And let's say this one is, we'll do dark for that one. And this one is bright. And maybe we'll do a little bit of green in this one to kind of match our aesthetic. All right, not too bad. Not great, but not bad. I think it'll do for now. I can spend hours just tinkering with this this slider, but we don't have time for that. So what we want at this point, now that this is the end state, we want to actually mask it so that we can create the beginning state that does not have this bar. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we're going to do, we're actually going to select the back rectangle and we're going to duplicate it. Command and Control D, and I'm going to name this mask so we know exactly what we're working with. I'm going to move it to the top of my stack so it's right above all of these shapes that are part of this mask, or will be part of this mask, right? I'm going to select all of them. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold down Shift, click on the last one, and then under the Object menu, we're going to mask it with a shape. Now, it didn't look like much happened, but it did. It masked everything inside of that shape that I added to the very top. So with that done, we are going to set up the beginning state. So I'm going to move this over to the right and then have another artboard over to the left. So I'm just holding down Alt-Option and dragging it over. Now, once that's done, I'm going to go into my mask, grab not only the mask, but also this rectangle at the bottom. So I'm going to hold down Command or Control, click on both of them, and then just drag this up so that we're kind of hiding that area at the bottom, just like that. So now we have our beginning state. We also need to make sure that this switch is over to the left, which is the off position. We're going to turn this off as well, and we'll drag this down just a little bit. There we go. And this guy down here, we probably want to kind of move it over here. There we go. And actually for this one, probably want to do the same thing. We're going to drag this just over here so it's just a little bit on. And over here, let's actually put this one all the way at 0. Perfect. So now we have the beginning state and we have the end state. Now, how do we actually wire this up? So because we've basically designed state number 1 and state number 2, Auto Animate really does the rest. So if I hop into prototype mode, let's say I want a user to be able to click on the little circle, the switch, and something will happen. So I'm going to click on that, and you're going to notice there's the little blue handle to the right. I can drag this over to the second artboard, boop, plop it in place, and this will be a tap trigger. So I'm going to do that. And it's not going to be a transition because that'll just kind of slide that artboard over. And I'm going to use Auto Animate. And we'll do, let's say, a snap so that when the switch gets to the on position, kind of snaps into place with a little bit of a bounce. It's not as drastic as bounce, but it's a nice, very subtle snap. And we'll do, let's say, 0.4 seconds. So with that done, I'm going to press play. Let me move this stuff out of the way so you can see exactly what's going on. And now when I press that switch button, not only does the switch go over, but also the mask expands, because in Adobe XD, you can expand masks and it will work with Auto Animate. And if I go back here and I turn the switch over here to the first artboard, I can basically have a nice little loop. So click, yeah, I don't want it on, click again, off. And you notice that the text changes, little switch at the bottom or the dimmer kind of pops out. And then we can take it from here and we can actually control that dimmer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this artboard. And let's say I want it nice and bright. So I'm going to grab these two shapes here, drag this over. We'll do 100% brightness. And then just like we did in day 1 and day 2, we're going to use the drag trigger. So I'm going to select the circle right over here, drag this over to the third artboard. Instead of tap, we're going to have a drag trigger. And Auto Animate, we don't have to worry about easing because it doesn't really come into play too much with drag. So let's see this from the beginning one more time. Press play, turn it on, we can turn it off, turn it on. I can do this all day. And then we can just drag this one over to the right to increase the brightness of our bulb. And I can just continue this and everything just works the way it should. And now what we can do, we can actually populate this. On-off text isn't changing. It should be. So this is off right here. If I turn this on, it does say on there. It's changing. So now we can actually populate this one so it doesn't look so sad and lonely. So I'm going to duplicate this downwards. And because these ones I'm not going to worry about turning them on or off, I can actually turn this into a repeat grid. So just like we did yesterday, and I think also challenge number 1, I can hit that repeat grid button over to the right, and I can simply drag this down to have multiple of these on my artboard. And if I wanted to, I can go into these. Let's say this would be The Office. I missed that show. That was a good show. This would be living room, bathroom, because who doesn't have smart bulbs in their bathroom? I don't. This one would be garage. And what's another room that you would put smart bulbs in? Kitchen. There we go. So all of a sudden we have all these amazing smart bulbs, and we can just copy this, paste it on this artboard. Now you're noticing that because this one is a little bit larger, we need to move this down. So I'm going to just move this down into place right there, copy this again, paste it here. And all of a sudden, we have this cool effect. Move this over to the side, turn this on. Those ones at the bottom kind of shift down a little bit. We can drag this over, and if we want to turn them all off, we can easily do that. And I should probably wire up this little tiny guy right here back to this artboard so I can slide it to dim the lights a little bit. So with just 3 artboards, could have even done it with 2. If we press play, we have our final interaction. We can turn on our bedroom lights. We can increase the brightness, or we can decrease the brightness if we wanted to. Let's increase it. And if we don't want at all, we can just turn it off and it goes back to the first artboard. So that will just about do it for challenge number 3. Again, there's a lot of inspiration to go off of. There's a lot of different smart home mobile apps out there that you can kind of work off of. Marissa has also provided us with some great elements that you can use if you want a dimmer switch that goes up or down, if you just want an on and off state, and there's a lot of buttons and icons and fun stuff you can work with. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what all of you put together, and make sure that when you're finished with all this stuff and everything's wired up, make sure you head up to the top, you press share for review so you can publish it on Behance, and Auto Animate is coming to the web very soon. So some of this stuff will definitely work once you publish that and embed it in Behance. But until then, if you want to show all the interactions, if you're on the Mac, once you press play, there's this little tiny button up here, that's the record button. That will allow you to record your entire prototype. And once you press stop, you can save that file to your computer. If you are on Windows, at the moment you have to use the built-in game bar because there are some limitations with Windows and recording within software. So use game bar, Windows G, that will pop it up, allow you to record your screen. Even though it's not a game, I mean, XD could be a game for some people. But that will just about do it. If you are into Photoshop, and who isn't into Photoshop, definitely stick around. We have Adobe Live coming right up. Paul Tranny and Nathaniel Dodson are sitting down to design some really cool stuff, so definitely stay around for that. I will be back tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m., kicking off Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 4. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me, and I will see you all very soon. See ya.